Welcome. You're listening to the Rutten River Pursuits podcast. Join our epic pro staff around the Sonic Campfire for stories and adventures from our eastern mountains to the Chesapeake Salt. Let our highs and lows inspire you to take to the outdoors. Hey guys, you're listening to the Rutten River Pursuits podcast. I'm Will.
I'm Catfish.
I'm Steve.
And we are on a pier. We're out in the Chesapeake, and we wanted to do something kind of different today. We're going to talk a little bit more technical than normal. So if you don't get into that, turn this off and go listen to the Bad Boy of Podcasting, Stevie Miser's
Yeah, listen
podcast.
to that one. That's the
Rewind an episode and listen to it twice.
Or Basically Kyle, that's a nice one too. Basically all things Kyle. Or if you wanted to get to know Phil,
Phil is my Rust Belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen my Rust Belt?
Have you seen my Rust Belt? And General Hang.
Yeah, so
That's the other one. Anyways.
So we're going to get a little bit more technical. We're trying to keep it light at the same time.
That's going to be
like we do, but
pretty easy for us, yeah.
To keep it light?
Keep it light.
Yeah, I believe so.
We're going to struggle getting technical here.
Well, I tell you what, it's a nice day out here. You guys
beautiful.
might pick up a little bit of wind in the background, but we're actually on the old Route 50 bridge in Cambridge, Maryland. And we do have rods in the water, so if you hear one of us jump up and run away, that's, we might get a take on one of these rods. We have we have live bait, cut bait, we've got an eel out. There are stripers down here, and we had a bluefish take a bait in half this morning.
Yeah. How much? First of all, how much did you pay this morning, or did we pay this morning for bait?
$91.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did get some sinkers too.
Oh.
So what did we get?
I got a Christmas ornament.
You got a Christmas ornament.
A little blue crab Christmas ornament.
Yeah. We got chicken necks to do some crabbing.
That's about the norm, though. I mean, last time we came down between the two of us, we easily spent $100.
Yeah, I don't get down here that often, and you don't know what the fish are going to want that day. So I sure don't want to get down here and not be prepared.
Yeah.
And there's 4 of us, so it's not like you can get away with, one bag of bloodworms for fishing all day. So, yeah, so bloodworm, shrimp, bunker, spot, frozen spot, shrimp, couple live eels.
Yeah, they were pretty fun to bring out of the anglers this morning.
Yeah.
They're all squirming around the bag,
Yeah.
poking them in the head through the bag. They don't like that much when you do that.
These bloodworms too, like they seem to be smaller than the bloodworms you had last time.
We didn't get the jumbo bloodworms.
Okay.
The real.
So there's a difference.
There's a difference. Yeah.
The jumbo bloodworms are big enough. I mean, hell, they seem like they can swallow your pinky finger if they let loose.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Do they attach to you? Because they'll go after you.
Absolutely.
They have teeth. There's like a head on them.
Yeah, I saw. It was like 4 or 5 hooks.
4 little. Yeah.
They shoot out and grab a hold
black
of them.
looking hooks.
It's like 2 vampires biting you at once.
It's crazy. They're coming after me for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're over the Chop Tank
little
River.
bloodworm hooks, hearts.
We're drowning bloodworms on the Chop Tank. We did pretty good this morning. We caught what did we catch? A bunch of little white perch.
Yeah, a lot of white perch.
They didn't tell us at the bait shop that the oh my gosh, I got bloodworm on the brain. That the white perch run was today.
It's big.
Yeah,
it's big.
Well, we caught a couple nice channel cats, healthy looking channel cats.
Yeah, they would have been a good eating size too if we ate them.
I had
4 so far.
4.
Kyle has 3. I have 1.
Yeah.
I caught
Mine was the biggest.
I didn't catch. I had a striper take a live white perch this morning.
That was a nice fish.
It was a nice fish. He almost pulled my 8-foot rod in the water up over the top of the banister there.
We were 2 seconds away from going live there.
Yeah. Another heartbreaker.
I swear we would have went live.
Picked it up, and he was gone.
Yep.
Rod's bouncing all over the place like a Mexican jumping bean and then gone.
I hate to be like this, but I'm going to. I set the hook on that last catfish for Kyle.
You did?
I let him reel it in.
Yeah.
He was sleeping.
Yeah.
He was. That's my brother-in-law Kyle, not R2 Kyle.
Not R2 Kyle.
He's still big Kyle.
He's
a big fella.
He's been falling. Every time he's fallen asleep, he's had a nice catfish on. So I guess that kind of counts half for you. Yeah. So you have 1.5. And Yes,
I did the hard part.
You did.
Hook set.
It was a circle hook, though, so I think it may have been. No, I mean, you said it. You did a great job. I'm proud of you.
This is my first time down here doing this kind of fishing, and it's, I don't know how much you guys know, but this is like Stevie's tree stand. This is his.
This is Stevie's world.
Yeah, this is his. Nordstrom's. This is
my Nordstrom's.
Yeah, this is a.
Yeah. Old Route 50 Stevie'sTreeStand.com.
Yeah, this
Check
is
it out.
Stevie's ground blind. This is his happy place.
Yeah.
And I've never been here, and I'm really glad that I got to come down and share this.
It's really hit or miss here. Today's kind of miss, but it's still we still caught a lot of fish.
I caught a ton of fish. I don't know how. Maybe you're used to a larger fish or a volume of fish. Like we haven't stopped catching fish. No. I don't know what your problem is.
It's a perfect day. The breeze is nice because the sun's out.
Yeah, thank goodness for this outhouse, or you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah,
our windbreak.
Well, I wasn't going to bring it up, but since you bring it up, why don't you tell our listeners what our seats consist of with sitting here?
Well, you and I are sitting on the ground of the cigarette butt and dead toadfish littered pier.
Yep.
And
using an outhouse for a backrest because of the wind.
Yeah.
The things you do for a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, Steve, we grew up in the same town, but different worlds of fishing.
Yep.
So I can tell like the different knots and different techniques of setting up. Why don't we touch base on some different ways that you can set your rigs up for down here when you're fishing off a high bridge pier like this in the Chesapeake?
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So I got. Let's see. So right now in the water, I have we have 3 rods in the water. 2 of them have fish finder rigs on them, which for bass guys, that's basically a Carolina rig.
Correct. Yeah.
But instead of using an egg sinker, you use a sinker slide. Mm-hmm. And on that sinker slide, I got pyramid weight. So the fish can take the fish can kind of grab onto the hook there, take the bait, and doesn't feel the weight of the sinker all at once.
And so is so a sinker slide is, guys. It's just a tube that goes over your line so it can slide up and down, and it actually has a swivel built into it. So you clip your pyramid sinker right to that swivel, and so your weight's technically not attached to your line. It's kind of the line slides through it. And so like Steve said, when the fish grab the bait and take off, they feel nothing.
Was that a movie?
What's that?
The line slides through it.
The line slides through it? That's Stevie's new up and coming.
That sounds so.
Yeah. The line slides through in 50 Cambridge. Yeah.
The line slides through it.
So I'm a lot like you. I use the same kind of technique because, anytime you're fishing with cut bait or live bait, it's, I'm definitely a circle hook guy, because it kind of sets itself there, but it's definitely... Ooh, gotta go. Stevie's got one on here. Let's see what happens. So, as Stevie checks his rod here, I'm the same way, but I use what's called a no-roll sinker, and the sinker itself actually has a slotted hole through it, so you can put your braid or your mono through it, and then you put a bead on underneath that, and tie a swivel on and then some mono, or you just tie it right to the hook. And so when the catfish, the striper, whatever the case may be, takes a bait, then it's pulling on the hook and can't feel the sinker itself. And a lot of times when the fish feels the weight of a sinker, it'll let go or it just won't hook set. So Stevie's on his way back. It wasn't a false alarm. It was a pretty good hit, but
I don't think he got there in time.
Nah, he didn't quite. We're just going to go ahead and bust on Steve. He didn't get there in time.
I didn't. I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Maybe if you lost some weight, you'd be faster.
Well, I've been thinking about that.
They asked him to run cross country in high school.
Back when you weighed 80 as opposed to 90 now?
About 85, I think. 85, 90.
The sun is trying to come out, and I think the fish are going to turn on, though.
I don't want it to. It's been such a nice day.
Yeah, I like overcast fishing days.
So the rod I just got a hit on. So I'm using 50-pound braid with a sinker slide, and attached to one end of that braid.
A line runs through it.
Exactly. Nailed it. At the end of the braid, a heavy-duty swivel.
A barrel swivel?
A barrel swivel. Just a barrel swivel. Yeah. Then attached to that swivel. So the swivel's attached to the braid with a Palomar knot. Attached to the other end of the swivel is 50-pound Seaguar Blue Label fluorocarbon. Maybe 18 inches of that. Attach that with a improved clinch knot. Then at the other end of the fluorocarbon, a 5/0 circle hook. Normally, and I like to use the Gamakatsu octopus circle hooks, and that's attached with a Unisnell knot.
Yeah.
So there's I don't know, what is that? 3 different knots.
3 different knots, 2 different kinds of line.
2 different kinds of line, just for,
But it works.
It works, yeah. It works. Yeah, and just to throw cut bait out there.
Yep. And as you ran up there, I was telling the listeners that since you're back, that I'm using no roll. I'm using a no roll sinker, which is the line goes through the sinker instead of a. And then I'm not using a leader, which can be really tough if you get a snag. Braid's extremely hard to break.
Yeah.
And but fishing off a pier like this, I don't like to have mono or fluorocarbon snap. So, but when I'm fishing for catfish on the river, lots of guys use leaders, and I did for years and years and years. The braid cuts on the rocks, and these flatties go under. Stuff and the line gets cut. But I'm 50-50. I mean, I've caught more fish either way. So
2 different types of bottoms, too. We just ran the deeper over...
probably 30 yards. You walked
30 to 50 yards on both sides. And there's a couple weed beds, but there's very little structure.
Yeah.
And
some
so,
oyster beds.
To me, there's no need for a leader here, but it's really preference.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of guys just don't. I've broken braid off so many times, catfishing, that it's
real. In the rocks.
Well, I mean, having to snap it when it's hung up, so I'll...
Like a rocky bottom.
Now, here's the difference, though. If I'm fishing out of my kayaking moving water, I do use a leader, because if you get braid hung up in a moving kayak, and you can get in trouble quick. It'll actually turn the kayak over if it's in one of the rod holders.
Oh, wow.
You can't get it out.
That'll break your heart.
Every time. Oh, there it goes again.
Better go, bud. But, hey, don't horse it this time. Ease up on it. He has a habit of horsing things.
So what I'm looking at is Stevie up here on the old Route 50 bridge, which is a concrete road. I mean, it still has a double yellow line on it. The sun has come out now. And he's got this rod, and my view is looking across to him, across the old Route 50 bridge, and I can actually see the new Route 50 bridge in the background of what I'm looking at. So it's actually a really gorgeous sight here today. And Steve gets into these zens, like he zens out, and I don't know, he's on it. Like he has this down packed. Welcome back once again, Steve.
What was it?
I don't know.
It was a blue crab.
Maybe it's a crab.
It was a blue crab.
It was a big one, though.
It was a big one.
It was like a 6-pound blue crab. Female with an attitude. So there's just 2 ways of, that you could set up down here to fish off of the pier, but there's lots and lots of different setups, obviously. A lot of guys you can jig down here with bucktails, tie it right straight to any kind of line that you want, and just jig off the bottom with a bucktail and a strip of fish or a piece of shrimp. A gulp mullet, swimming mullet works down here. That pretty much catches everything in the Chesapeake but
mullet's a fish.
Yeah, little swimming gulpy mullets.
Not a hairstyle.
Yeah. No.
Well, it's both, but down here we're talking about the fish.
So, and we talked about different kinds of line. Let's talk about braid versus mono versus. Yeah. So braid is an extremely strong braided line that is it feels more like rope than plastic. And I guess that's how the best that I can describe what it feels like in your fingers is rope versus plastic. But the big difference between braid and mono and fluorocarbon is braid won't stretch
at all.
It is dead solid. So actually when I get hits on straight braid, my rod will bounce more. Like the hits show up. I don't know how to explain that, but they seem, there's just no stretch in the line.
We're casting, I don't know, 40, 50 yards, maybe more than that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of line out there, and if you're using mono, it's going to stretch. You might not notice a strike as much as if you were using braid.
It could be, and it's just a small edge on hook set, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a stiff rod, but I mean, mono itself does stretch a little bit. It disappears a little better in the water, I believe. Truthfully, if I'm throwing in the river for like smallmouth and stuff, mono's the only way to go. I mean, it's when you're constantly casting and constantly casting and constantly casting in and out all day. Braid can get old real quick.
Yeah.
It's just not the way to go. Unfortunately, with braid, if I am reeling in and there's super high tension on it, even though that it's stronger, if it clips the bridge, a pylon, a rock, I mean, it cuts like that.
Yeah, that's it. The other advantage to it is how much thinner it is than mono. So I think the 50-pound braid I'm using now, Power Pro braid, has the same diameter as a 12-pound.
You can fit more of it on that reel.
Yeah, and it really improves your casting distance.
It sure does. Yeah. No, absolutely. So let's talk about the different style of rods we have out today. And not just us, but it's about a half a mile walk back to the truck.
Anyhow.
So as I'm walked back to the truck earlier to check on the kayaks that are in the truck and walking back, I have seen almost every rod on this pier, from Snoopy rods to a guy down there that has a 12-foot surf rod out.
Yeah.
It looked like, oh my gosh, it looked like a deep sea spinning reel, which I've never really seen one this big, but and everything in between, from the old push button closed faced. The difference in rods out here, I mean, I have a couple Penn reels, about, I'd say probably medium of what Penn makes, about medium-sized reels. I forget what they actually are if I get up and look.
I think those are 6,000 or 7,000.
Are they 6,000s?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And then the rods I have are just little. They're just little 7-foot rods, 8-foot rods maybe, but they're that's all you really need for pier fishing. You don't need a big giant. And if that's your preference, if you want a surf rod out here, if you want to cast further, that's great. But a short little, like, boat rod out here works good too.
Yeah, I've got a 7-foot boat rod out here now.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got set up over here on all these rods? What are you running reel-wise over here? I know that's a Penn.
Yeah, so there's a 10-foot rod with the Penn reel, an 8-foot rod, and a 7-foot rod with Okuma bait feeder reels.
Yeah, which are some of my favorites.
Yeah, I really. Whoa, there we go again. Sorry, guys.
Nope, go ahead. So Stevie, I think, actually has them this time. He's got them. Stevie is hooked up, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, buddy. Same rod, too.
Yeah, same rod that's been bouncing. Finally took it. And it looks like a pretty decent fish. You need the net, Stevie?
Oh, stone horse it, bud.
Holy mackerel. Stevie is reeling and cranking. And he looks like he's in a bass tournament. He wants this thing out of the lily pads on the boat right now. And I can't believe that he ain't going to slingshot this thing up onto the
deck of the boat.
Thank you. I was getting up and lost my balance there. What's Stevie got on here? Let's look over the pier. Oh, it's a catfish. A nice channel cat.
Another channel cat.
You know what? The channel cats down here are extremely healthy looking. It's a really healthy, good looking channel cat.
We should have been having catfish fry here because these are perfect size.
So
Reel down on it all the way and then pull it up.
what Stevie's doing right now is bringing this fish way up over top of the bridge, and what you never want to do is actually grab a hold of the braid under super high tension with your bare hands, because it'll actually cut through you like a knife.
Because it cuts like a knife.
Because it cuts like a knife.
Here, bub. Oh, boy. Take your time.
Help me out here, could you?
Stevie's having a rough time getting his headset on here, guys. So Stevie's actually got a Chesapeake Bay channel, which is blind in one eye.
It's a little bit more windy
And
out here, too.
that happens. That happens to these cats a lot, especially when they group up in the wintertime and spawning. They get their eyes poked with the dorsal fins and the pectoral fins of other cats and whatnot. They might have been little and grabbed by another catfish or whatever have you. And
that was on the Penn Fierce 8000.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, let's get a picture here, bub. So these may be 20 inches, something like that.
Yeah, it's a nice channel.
24.
24.
So I'm taking a picture. What I don't want to do, talk about pictures for a second, is check your background when you're trying to take a decent picture. And I had the outhouse in the background there. Let's go here. I got you.
You getting it?
Now you can hear the wind blowing now that we're
Look at this guy.
Clean that off there, would you? I don't want a dirty cat in the pic.
I want to get old stink guy here. He's giving me the stink eye.
You can kind of hear catfish clicking away, doing a little 2D taxidermy, capturing that moment.
Oh, this one's too pretty to not get the stink eye.
No matter how many times you see that rod bow down like that, it's a
Bow down, boy.
Bow down, boy.
It's exciting every time. All right, let's get this guy back.
So
it's a small little chuck that bugger back in there.
Perfectly healthy fish, ready to go back in after a little 2D taxidermy.
Oh, yeah. Hold on,
right
I got a
black right here.
Oh, I don't know if that's me or him, but I got. Yeah, it must have been him.
Stevie got a little blood on his hand.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Like Beowulf.
Back to the podcast room.
I'm just going to leave that rod out of the water because
it's too dangerous.
It's too dangerous. Wash my hands off here a little bit. All right.
So I don't even know where we left off. I think I was talking about what different rods you had. And as you can tell, guys, we're just having a fun fishing day. It's relaxing. We say we're going to get into some technical talk, and it's not really. I don't even know what size reels I had. But just trying to give you. There's so many options to go fishing that it doesn't have to be tough decisions.
You know what? I think people about pier fishing is intimidating. Like Will had said, this is the first time he's ever done it. It's intimidating because it's not bobber fishing and, with night crawlers. And there's a lot of people, Maryland's a big state.
Yeah.
But there's barely anyone on this pier, and it's probably... I don't know, 3/4 of a mile long,
maybe 15
like
people, and it's a Saturday.
Yeah, it's a beautiful Saturday. There's not a lot of people here, so it's surprising. But
what's some of the gear that you would want on here? Like we learned the hard way last time we had the nice stripers down in Bay Bridge area.
Definitely
pier net.
Definitely a pier net. And they're $20 or $25.
Yeah.
You can get an 8-foot pier combo rod at the Walmart for $30 or $40, something like that.
Yeah. And
it's got line on it already. That's how I started down. In fact, I started that on this very pier with a $35 Walmart rod that got tore up after a couple pretty big rays. But so you can start with that. You get a couple sinkers. There it's $3 or $4. I would. The other type of rig that, if you're catching panfish down here, is a double drop rig that most people use. So I tie those myself. Don't like the ones that you buy in the store. I mean,
sure.
You can use
explain to them what that is.
So,
in case they don't know.
Yeah. So you end up with 2 hooks on a single line with a weight at the bottom.
So the hooks are actually set
perpendicular. So if the line is completely vertical, the hooks then come off of that that main line.
And how far up from the sinker do you normally tie yours?
Between about 10 inches on the first one, and then maybe 15 inches on the second.
So they're really not that far apart.
No.
And how much line do you let out perpendicular from the main line?
6 inches.
About 6 inches?
Yeah, at the most. More than that, and it'll you can get a lot of twist in there.
And most of your tackle shops down here, if you're newer to fishing or you're not used to tying something like that up, they have them pre-made.
Yeah.
And they actually have really nice wire ones.
Yep.
That a lot of people use.
We pulled a couple of those out of the bay here today.
Yeah, I have a couple in my pack, and they're normally used for like wreck fishing and out on the wrecks.
But you can come down here, buy a rod, get some of those double drop rigs, get a couple weights, get a pack of hooks, number 2 hooks, and a bag of bloodworms, and you could be catching fish for $50. And the next time you come down, you buy another pack of bloodworms, and it's $10 or $12. So you can be catching fish right away with not a whole lot of money.
Don't let us spook you away from coming down here saying we spent $100 in bait. Stevie overdoes it, but
anything that's worth doing,
you can come down here and get a thing of frozen clams or squid and catch fish.
Grocery store shrimp,
exactly.
Just uncooked shrimp, will work. So it doesn't have to be expensive, to do it. You don't need to be an expert fisherman, that's for sure.
Get yourself a couple of jig heads and some kind of soft plastic baits, like I said earlier, the gulp swimming mullets. And while you got some live bait or some cut bait, whatever's out in the water, just walk around and have fun and let it out till it hits the bottom, let it drop. When it hits the bottom, reel up about 2 turns and just sit there and have fun and bounce your rod tip real slow up and down. Jig it underneath the pier, and you have no clue what will hit down here. You can get anything.
Multi-species, yep.
Yeah, you could catch a Bengal tiger.
I know a guy that caught a Bengal tiger underneath.
Right under where we're at.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Speckled belly Bengal.
Yeah, I saw pictures.
It happens. Now I'm getting a bite. So we'll see what happens. Now I'm getting a double bite over there. We'll see what happens. And that's cut bait. That's a piece of cut spot, actually. So that's on that 7-foot rod. It's got a pen on it and straight braid. So that's a little bit difference about fishing line. I mean, it's all preference on what you like. And truthfully, it all works. It's just don't pull a Phil Buckman, R2 Buck, the Blind Shaman. I can keep going. He has 100 nicknames. He likes 4-pound test for muskies.
He loves it.
Like, if he had a pet elephant and was tying that elephant up to pull a hay wagon, he would use 4-pound test. Everything's 4-pound test. Like, my dad makes fun of me. He says, every time I come to your house, everything that you say, Cabela's, Bass Pro, the flea market, everything's 20 minutes away when he asks. So how far away is that? 20 minutes. Buckman's the same way.
Like a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, he's the same way.
10 minutes.
What kind of line should I use for that? 4-pound test. 4-pound test. It's just, he's stuck.
The hard way, the Buckman way.
We need to brainwash him out of the 4-pound test because it's a heartbreaker.
He's used to crappie. Where he goes, it's not fishing.
Yeah.
It's catching.
Well, he hasn't. He admitted he hadn't been fishing for a while, so he's a little rusty.
I thought it was hilarious when I heard that back. Stevie's like, horse that baby. And
horse.
Real harder, real faster.
Ziz.
I listened to that, I don't know how many times, a dozen times maybe, and laugh every time about Phil's 4-pound test. But, no, so we're using, like Catfish said, it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of time, a huge investment. Go get a combo at a department store.
But, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the boys and their toys.
Like everything else,
you could spend thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
there's one rod over here. It looks like it's all carbon fibered up. It looks like a Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we have. I don't know, probably $1,500 worth of rods here between the.
Oh, it's sitting here.
The two of between. And, well, we don't need that, but I don't want to be replacing rods every year either. So
yeah, I mean, you get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
In the fishing industry, and some stuff is a little overpriced, and let's touch base on that. I mean, the rods themselves. There's so many rod companies in the world. You walk into any place that sells fishing equipment, Cabela's, Bass Pro, you name it, Field and Stream. If you're going in to look for a rod and you don't know much about fishing rods, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And some of them, do you just pick one because it looks cool? And, from all the different brand makers out there, you can overpay for a rod that really isn't that great. Or, you can buy something that's going to snap the first time out if you get into a lunker. So, and they're all made differently. Obviously one of the big wigs in the world, one of the best selling fishing rods in the world is an Ugly Stick, and they're just made differently. They got a core inside of them that allow them to almost bend back to touch the tip to the butt of the rod without snapping.
Isn't that amazing?
It's truly amazing, and they're not very expensive.
No.
As far as the rod world goes, they're very inexpensive for what you get. And if you buy an Ugly Stick and don't slam it in a car door, you virtually could use that rod for the rest of your life, and it'll catch everything. However, there's pros and cons to everything. They're not quite as touchy if you're trying to finesse bass off the bottom of a lake, and you don't quite feel everything with a heavier Ugly Stick type rod. If you want a thinner tip and a lighter weight rod, they're kind of a beefy rod too. And they sell everything from lightweight rods to surf rods, but I have a bunch of Ugly Sticks. I grew up fishing with Ugly Sticks.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Ugly Sticks.
Same.
But at the same time, you can go out and get, help me out here, Steve. I'm just throwing one out, a Carrot Stick.
Yeah.
You can go out and get a St. Croix. You can go out and you can pay a couple $100 for a fishing rod with no reel on it, and you can feel the difference. It's lighter weight. It's more touchy. You can feel the strikes better. But really, if you just want to come out here and have fun, it would be my advice, just as a beginner fisherman, grab yourself an Ugly Stick and, a decent reel, like a Penn. Penn's my favorite reel. Akuma Bait Runner's an awesome setup. You mentioned it earlier on your Akuma over here. I also have 2 bait runners down here. Stevie's got a couple, and they have a switch on the back of them. It's a lever. So after you cast, a lot like we were saying earlier with something grabbing a hold, the fish grabs a hold of your bait and swims away, can't feel the weight of the sinker, the weight of it. These reels are also the same way. If you sit that rod there and you walk away, you have a good chance, like me this morning, that almost lost a rod to a striper, pulling it up over the banister. And with the bait runners, that really doesn't happen because you can flip the lever and it'll actually let the bail loose, but not to make a giant mess.
Yeah, so that's two different drag systems, right? So you flip that bail up and it engages a lighter drag system.
So when the fish takes the bait and runs with it, you can hear the reel zzz, and you can go over, and as soon as you start to reel, that clicks off and essentially sets the hook.
Yep.
And so bait runners are nice. If you go out and get yourself a bait runner Akuma, they're nice. And here's the big thing. We just want you all to come down, everybody to enjoy the outdoors. Come down here and pier fish. You can't go wrong. Even if you're not catching much, this is an awesome place just to hang out for the day. It's gorgeous down here.
It sure is.
It's bring a couple buds, bring your girlfriends, bring a cooler out here. Do what Stevie does. Get yourself like an old red, what are they called, red flyer wagon?
Yeah, that's a garden wagon I got from Home Depot, and
perfect. I see you
retrofitted it for pier fishing.
Yeah, strap some plastic fishing rod holders on the side of it so you can put all your rods in it and throw your coolers in it, your backpacks, and pull all your stuff out here, and away you go.
It's a long walk. You got to have something to drag it.
When I go back, I'm taking it with me, so you got to carry all your stuff. I might just ride in it on top of all the backpacks.
Yeah. Well, you sit in there, and then we'll just pile stuff around you.
Yeah. So a couple of key elements to pier fishing. obviously you can sit on a concrete pier or a wooden pier. A lot of times they have benches. Here they have a couple with roofs on them and some cut bait stations. There's a few outhouses, as we said. But bring yourself a folding chair. Make sure you bring enough water. Stay hydrated because it can get hot out here.
There's no shade.
There's no shade, so bring yourself one of them little umbrellas or something if you really want to. If you're like me and you get burnt real quick, or bring yourself a little radio and listen to a podcast. I could, if you don't know of any, I could tell you about a couple good ones. One especially, maybe two, and just come out and enjoy. I mean, get yourself any kind of rod, reel setup, some cheap bait, some good friends.
Yeah.
It's better.
It's all about.
Better than sitting at home playing Nintendo, I guarantee you.
Did you have a good time, Will? It's been a while since you were here.
Stupid.
Since you appeared. It's stupid.
I could tell on your face.
Grow up, will you?
I could tell on your face that you couldn't stand catching that catfish 20 feet up over the
You hated it.
No, this is great, man. What can I say? We got some crab pots out. And it doesn't take too much if 3 or 4 of the R2 guys are getting together. I'm going to be one of them, so no question about that.
I compare this to bobber fishing, as we say as a kid. Bobber fishing with a night crawler. This is like bobber fishing for adults. This is what we come do.
Yeah.
It's nice and relaxed and lackadaisical, and we just switched from bobbers and night crawlers to cut bait and sinkers.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. And crab pots. We actually had a boat. Did I tell you a boat pulled up to me a little while ago and asked if we were getting any crabs and said no, and the guy said it's because the water's too salty.
The saline level?
Yeah.
Salination?
Salinity.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
the couple.
I never heard.
I don't know.
I've been crabbing in the ocean. I guess maybe the
Please.
crabs didn't know, but
Get a hold of us.
if somebody understands.
What is this guy telling
What
us?
does that mean? I don't know.
The solidity
I
of the
honestly
water.
don't know much at all about crabbing, other than you drop a crab down in there and with a
Chicken
hunk
neck.
of chicken on it,
Yeah.
and not on Wednesdays.
You can't do it on Wednesdays.
But
All right, guys.
well, guys, let's kick this pig. Let's
kick it.
Sorry,
Yeah, but thanks again. We get a little bit more technical than we normally do, and I think that there's some people out there that are asking for that, and we're still kind of keep it light, but it's definitely not a normal show for us. But we are out and about. We are out in the elements here, and as you can hear by the wind, and just thanks for bearing with us in these conditions. But
If you have questions about fishing, pier fishing, or outdoors in general, please
Absolutely
email us.
And if you have fishing rods, reels, if you're interested in any kind of equipment, if you want please let us know. You want a really technical, show? We can definitely dissect a reel and tell you all about it too.
And we're not paid or sponsored by any of these companies and stuff like that. So
No.
it's gear that we have and that we try. So, for the most part,
Yeah.
we'll give you the best recommendation.
Stuff we grew up using. Yeah.
We've had it all, and we have our eye on the next level all the time. So, like I said, we'll give you the best recommendation possible.
Get down here and get you some.
All right. Later.
Peace.
Later.
Thanks for listening to the Rut and River Pursuits podcast. Follow the R2 Pro staff by searching Rut and River Pursuits on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until the next episode, we need to see you in the outdoors.